It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
Let us check in on a couple stories here on a Wednesday podcast. Thank you for tuning into the Sean Widmer Podcast. It means a lot. Hopefully your week is going well. Hopefully you're in a good spot. It's hot in Lexington. It's hot. Holy smokes. Today, more on the event. Today I was working and we were outside a bit. And I'm getting to that point here where Lexington's starting to get warm and humid, and I'm going to need to figure out that way to cover up the sweat because it's coming, and I'll sweat through shirts like it's no one's business. So if I'm going to be working outside a little bit over the summer, I'm going to have to get that in check. But that's not what today's podcast is about. I've got a story about Olivia, my daughter, I have to share, and me being old. We're going to get into me being old with coworkers. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But we have to start off with Olivia. Love my kiddos. We've had a good couple of weeks. We're going to have a good week this week. Anna's out of town. And so we're heavy into, just let's survive in advance. Let's do some, crazy dinners. The fish sticks built like a log cabin. Let's do chicken nuggets. But we'll, mix them in with like a cereal. We'll do a mountain of Cheerios and put the chicken nuggets, dino nuggets on top of it. Well, there's no rules in terms of food when mom's gone. There's other rules. Like there's rules in the house. Stop fighting. Stop kicking each other. Stop stealing toys from each other all the time. Those rules still exist. But when it comes to foods, we just try to get food down. That's the goal. And minimal mess. That's the other thing. My wife's really good at cleaning. And so she'll feed anything to anyone, including the baby, the 10-month-old now. She'll give him just whatever and then just clean it all up. I am very selective. I look at every item that I could give Woods, and I think about what the mess could be. I maximize that mess, and if it's too much, he doesn't get that. So, sorry, Woodsy. I know you got a couple days coming up where you're going to be very frustrated with Dad, but it's in all of our best interest to get through the week. Well, on Monday night, we had Olivia doing her gymnastics showcase, which I didn't know what that was going to be, but it's sports related. So I was excited to go to it. And what it turned out to be was all the things that we watch her do on a normal week, Monday nights at gymnastics, where they just kind of go through and walk on a balance beam, do a somersault on the floor, then hang on one of the parallel bars. We've watched them do this every single night for the entire year. But on Monday, apparently it's the showcase. They make us watch it and pretend like we'd never seen it before. So that was kind of wild. But Olivia did her stuff, did her routine. It was great. She was super cute, super excited. They gave medals to everyone, and they took a big group picture. And my daughter went directly in the middle and started smiling way before they were taking pictures, and smiled the whole way through, frozen in time. Just so proud of her medal. Just so proud of the whole event. It was really cute watching this showcase. But Anna had told her, look, it's a special night for you. You can choose anywhere you want to go for dinner to celebrate this gymnastics showcase. So Olivia's mind starts going a million miles per hour, and I know the answer already. I know it's Red Robin. That's her favorite restaurant. So I'm already gearing up for whatever the latest Red Robin jalapeno burger is, which changes all the time. Burnin' Love burger, Mad Love burger, Super Lava fire sauce burger, whatever that one is. And they've got another one going on right now that's a jalapeno burger. It's just a rotation of the jalapeno burger. So I'm getting excited about this. But that's not what Olivia chose. Now, I do need to real quick interject the fact that my kids, Huck and Olivia, they are in a preschool situation where all of the classrooms are represented by an animal. And I think Huck's like a toad or a frog or a cricket or whatever. I don't know. He's something in there. And my daughter is an owl. Okay. So they love this. They love the fact that they're in these animal classrooms. And so my daughter doesn't say Red Robin when we ask her where she wants to go for dinner. She says, look, Dad, I want to go to the owl restaurant. I'm like, what is the owl restaurant? And she's like, there's the Owl restaurant. It's right by gymnastics. When we go to gymnastics, it's right by it. I see it every time we go to gymnastics. And I was like, what in the world? So we ate at Hooters and we had a big time. Went to Hooters for dinner. That's what that's what Olivia chose. She sees the owl on the windows every night, every Monday. And so that's where she wanted. Anna was like, we're not denying her this opportunity to go get amazing wings. I said, you know what? I'm not going to stop her. So in what ends up being an extremely awkward and uncomfortable moment, you roll into Hooters with your kid for gymnastics showcase. It's wild. The wings are still really good, by the way. Daytona wings are still really, really good. It was so funny because it's Hooters, right? You walk in and you're like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. And it was just funny realizing that a little kid, it was just, give me crayons and a piece of paper, and I'm going to play tic-tac-toe against my dad. Oh, you look like you're the girl who's going to bring me lemonade. That's it. That's the transaction. Oh, you're the lemonade. You're at this restaurant. You're the lemonade person. Okay, yeah. I don't care about anything else. But if you're bringing me lemonade, we are friends. So it was quite the experience. Like I said, the Daytona wings were still amazing. Only Olivia would pick the Owl restaurant as her go-to restaurant for gymnastics. It did take me back, though, to the days where we would go, Andy, Jeremy, Chris, Max, me, we would go to Hooters twice a year. We would end actually it would be the NFL draft. We would go for the NFL draft and they would have a deal on wings. So we'd go there for the NFL draft. And then at the end of summer, we would go to kick off our college football and Madden dynasty, the Forge. So we'd do this every year. We'd play college football, roll our guys into Madden and play Madden, and we just bust through a ton of seasons. And so before the season, before each iteration of the game, we started that season, we would meet up at Hooters and we would go over any rules we wanted changed, any kind of sliders we wanted changed. Was anyone going to change their team? And we would just break down everything that was going to happen for the next 6 months of our lives, the most important thing, the Forge Dynasty. And we would do this every summer. And I always thought it was funny because there was like the store, like guys would go there and be like, yeah, man, we're gonna totally hit on the girls, and the waitresses will flirt with us, and it's like, we're gonna date the girls that are working there. And I was always like, what are you talking about? That never happens. That's not how it goes. Now, this was 20 years ago. And now I see that you go there and you see the kind of guys who are there trying to flirt with the waitresses, and they just got off the golf course. They're in their nice polos. They're all put together and they're going in, throwing around money. And yeah, the things that we had heard about are happening. It didn't happen for the group of guys who went in with a handful of Athlon college football magazines and Brady Games strategy guides strewn across the table. Weird that didn't happen. So shout out to me in my 20s and the Forge guys for a real good time. But we ate the heck out of some Daytona wings. Tell you what, love those things. The other thing I wanted to get out there today, I had a work event with my guy Ian, helping him out. I hardly helped him out. He ran an event for a hospital in the area who was doing a ceremony where they're this hospital and the University of Kentucky are combining forces in a way to help out with the children's care at this hospital. It was a cool little event, and we were there for the ribbon cutting, and we ran a lot of the audio stuff for the event. And by we, I mean by Ian did. And I was just there because he needed help and everyone else was busy doing stuff. So they went to the very last guy they would ask to help out. And mainly there was a TV involved, and you have to lift these TVs onto stands. And that's really the only reason I was there. The rest of the time, Ian was looking at me like, why are you still here? Why didn't we drive 2 cars and you just leave? So I was in the way the whole time. I kept asking, like, what do you need me to do? And he'd be like, look, can you try to hide this extension cord so it's not visible? And then I would hide it. And then I'd be like, okay, what do you want me to do next? He's like, could you hide the extension cord that's over there so it's hidden from had it in the plants? And I remember thinking, like, I just did that. And then I realized, I'm sure of it, Ian didn't need me in his business messing with the actual technical part of what he was doing. So he was moving the extension cord out of the plants when I'd walk around a little bit, and he was just pulling on the extension cord so it'd pop out and it would be something to tell the child to do on site. But shout out to Ian for making me feel like I did something valuable. But I feel old around the guys I work with. And today was one of those times. We're just chatting. We were chatting about the guys we work with. We were chatting about the fact that we all wear like the same kind of thing to work every day. These black polos, and people wear like khaki pants or jeans, and it's like the same look every day. But that's not what we wear. A lot of us don't wear that outside of work. Like you're not going to catch me dead in a polo shirt outside of working hours. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to wear it on the golf course. So I'm definitely not going to wear it to Hooters. I'm wearing a shirt that says, you got guys showing up there with expensive shirts, expensive clothing. I would show up in a blue shirt that was a little too small that said Buffalo across it because that was the Buffalo Bulls, and way too baggy American Eagle jeans. So there was that part too. There might have been a bit of a hindrance back in the day. But we were talking about, it'd be kind of fun for everyone to go out who's at work. Let's all go out and hang out, and then we can see what everyone wears. A weird conversation, but I was into it. And I think I probably started it. So sorry, Ian. But I was like, I just wonder what everyone's style is. I'd love to know what everyone's style is. So we were kind of talking about that, and he was talking about how his style is very plain. And I said, like Doug Funnie. And I looked over at the driver's seat where he was, and the look he gave me was like, Doug Funnie. And I can see him because we both like sports. He's going through every single football player, basketball player, baseball player that he knows, trying to think of who does Doug Funnie play for. And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, cartoon from the 1990s. You're born in the 2000s. You have no freaking clue who Doug Funnie is. And so this is the kind of stuff that pops up all the time in my work. I will make a reference. It is instantly outdated to everyone that I work with. And it's drives me crazy because I've got nothing for him in the new world. I got nothing for him. Now, the other day I did a fun little game. I had Ben and Jake in the warehouse, and I went through and I was like, okay, I'm going to play 90s Christian music, which is what I grew up on, 90s Christian music, until a song pops up that one of these guys has heard of or heard at all. And these are two guys who grew up listening to, I'm assuming, listening to a little bit of Christian music, and church guys. So they grew up in that world a little bit. And I played Shine by Newsboys right off the bat, which was, if you're a Christian music fan in the 90s, Shine by Newsboys is one of the all-time, like, this is Christian rock, all right? This is the song. And I played it, and I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's just get the ball rolling with an easy one. Crickets. And I felt so old in this moment. So old. I'm like, this is Newsboys. And then they're like, which lead singer is it? And I'm like, the original. They're like, that old? The original? That's like 4 Newsboys singers ago. That's crazy. How do you even know this song? Sounds kind of weird. I went through then and just played a bunch of that. And when we didn't get a recognized song by all 3 of the people in there until we hit the late 90s, 98, 99. When did Big House by Audio Adrenaline come out? We're deep in the weeds now. Big House, Audio Adrenaline. That song came out. Oh, no, okay. Big House, Audio Adrenaline, they knew, 1993. So that was an early 90s song. But then I come to find out one of the reasons they know it, one of the guys, the guitar player from Audio Adrenaline, is a Lexington guy. And it just performed at an event we ran. So thanks a lot, guys, for inviting me to that one. I could have hid cables and plants all day, like I did today at the Newsboys or at the Audio Adrenaline one. Jeez Louise. It's just an old thing. And so I find myself now at work not wanting to make many comments. And anytime I think, that reminds me of, I just don't say it. Because whatever that is going to remind me of, whatever happens that's going to remind me of something, It's outdated, it's old, and it's really embarrassing to have to explain every single thing you say. Because you make a thing that you think is going to be kind of clever and witty, a comment, and then it's met with dead faces. And so now you feel this need to explain what you were saying, and that's just an absolute total mess. Never works. It's awful. Okay, thank you for tuning in today. 15-minute podcast, old school, the way it was meant to be. When the podcast started in 2005, I went back and listened to a couple of those 2005, the original Sean episodes. I went back and listened to some of those. They are so bad. I was going to cut up another one. I think I did this a year or two ago, where I played the very first podcast I ever did in September of 2005 when I started it. And it required heavy editing because wildly personal stuff from my friend group in there. It was a podcast just truly for my friends. Weird to think that was happening. And so I went back and listened to a couple more, and I'm like, yeah, we can't. These are not even worth airing. They're so awful. But shout out 15-minute podcast to back in the day when this all started. All right, thank you for tuning in. I hope your day goes great. We'll do comments on Friday. So if you need to comment on something this week, go to seanslife.com. You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on YouTube. Thanks for listening.